Well, the evolution of tools such as ChatGPT has been deemed as a double-edged sword, as they can be exploited by extremist groups all around the world. And for more insights on this, Adam Hadley, Executive Director at Tech Against Terrorism, joins us live now in the studio. Well, warm welcome to CNA, Adam. So let's just help our viewers understand. I want to talk about the dark side of the internet culture, where basically terrorist groups are finding creative ways to sort of, hide their messages such that, authorities, it's difficult for authorities and even for the general users to detect. And what are some of these creative ways that you're seeing online?
Terrorists are extraordinarily good at using technology to support their strategic objectives, and they always have been. What we're finding where the internet's concerned is terrorists are good at obscuring content so that the filters that big tech have no longer work, or hiding their activity on smaller platforms. So they'll also pretend to be news, for example, all manner of ways that
and
terrorists
memes is a big one as well.
Oh, exactly. And it's all designed to prevent easy detection by automated filters. And every time a tech platform develops improved technology to detect this content, terrorists will often adapt and change the style of content that they're sharing.
It sounds like it's really challenging for these, tech platforms to try and actually catch these guys out. Because, it's constantly changing, right? Their methods of being creative.
That's right. At Tech Against Terrorism, we're a UN-backed initiative that works with the global tech sector to help them improve their capabilities. And tech companies have to work very hard to update the techniques that they use to detect this sort of content. So it's important to ensure that platforms work together to understand the emerging trends, and they use the very best technology, including potentially technologies like ChatGPT, to improve content moderation.
Help us understand as well, when it comes to content that falls into a gray area, like, how do we keep up with trying to make sure that, trying to pick out like extremist group messages versus like, say, fake news or conspiracy theories? It sounds challenging to try and detect that. Yeah.
Well, extremely challenging. At Tech Against Terrorism, we predominantly focus on official branded content by the major terrorist organizations. And the reason for that is because there's actually a huge amount of content still being produced by Al-Qaeda, by so-called Islamic State that's really obvious. So first and foremost, we believe it's important to focus on the obvious content where there's agreement about the definition. But it's also important that platforms develop mechanisms to ensure that the reach of content or extremist content is reduced as much as possible.
Now, we've been reporting tech layoffs, there have been massive layoffs left, right and center. And in your opinion, how does that actually impact counter-terrorism efforts?
We're really concerned about the devastating job cuts at major, large tech companies. In the case of Twitter, almost 50% of their workforce is being cut. And as a result, what we're seeing is it's very hard to get in contact with these platforms when there's an emergency or when there's a terrorist attack. We're not seeing an immediate sort of degradation of capabilities in countering terrorism on those platforms at the moment, but it's only a matter of time. It's a ticking time bomb. Terrorists are adapting how they're using platforms, and large tech platforms are firing lots of their teams in trust and safety and in public policy, and that's deeply concerning for us.
In one of your recent articles, you were talking about how, the global order needs a Five Eyes initiative for AI. So which means, sort of sharing this sort of information among other governments. Perhaps you could just tell our viewers a little bit more about that and follow up with some of the concerns you have.
Yeah, so our concerns about AI are really down to sovereignty and questioning the extent to which private companies should own very powerful technology and the extent to which government should be investing that technology as well. We feel that government should be investing in a public good in order to ensure that it's not just private, largely American tech companies have that most sophisticated technology. It's also important that these technologies are auditable, that we can test that they're working correctly, that they're supporting the rule of law and democracy as well.
All right, well, many thanks for coming to our studio today, Adam. I know you've got a flight to catch, so I'm going to leave you to that. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And I was just speaking to Adam Hadley, Executive Director at Tech Against Terrorism.